Besides OnlyFans, Margot starts running other social media pages to attract as large an audience as possible, and she needs Susie's help, as well as Jinx's wrestling skills. So Susie and Jinx join the team of OnlyFans creators as assistants. They are planning a large-scale livestream and work out an entire script, complete with sets and a storyline. Meanwhile, Shannon and Kenny are on their honeymoon. Kenny cannot help noticing that something is bothering his wife. He also keeps saying how important it is for him to truly become part of her family. With a slightly tired smile, Shannon only says how lucky she is to have such a wonderful husband. Preparations for filming are in full swing at the rented apartment where the livestream will take place. Susie, as a professional cosplayer, chooses costumes for the girls, while Jinx teaches them acrobatic moves. In the end, the girls film a stunning teaser clip to attract subscribers, all in a fantastical setting. It was Margot who wrote the script. Of course, this is not what she meant when she dreamed of becoming a writer. Jinx receives a restraining order from Mark Gable. This is how Margot finds out that her father saw the professor and broke his arm. Jinx says he simply could not accept the way his daughter and grandson had been treated. But Margot still strongly disapproves, because despite everything, Mark is Bodhi's father. Jinx turns to his old acquaintance Lace, who among other things, currently has her own law firm. It turns out that after meeting Mark Gable, Jinx called him more than once and threatened him. Lace advises Jinx to stop contacting Mark in any way at all if he does not want legal trouble. Lace also senses that something is bothering Jinx. He admits that the mother of his daughter has married a religious man. Until the very end, Jinx had hoped that he and Shannon might still get back together. The OnlyFans creators and their team keep making content as 2 Earth girls and 1 cute alien girl, and it pays off. Their audience grows, and fans keep tipping them. The girls even have fun. On Christmas Eve, Margot and Susie are walking around a fair with a stroller when they suddenly notice Mark with his son. The man looks worn out. Margot and her former professor meet each other's eyes. Mark gives her a guilty smile. Susie jokes that it was a Christmas miracle. Later at home, Jinx and Susie decorate the Christmas tree together while Margot sends Shannon a selfie of herself with Bodhi. After Shannon found out what her daughter was doing, they barely communicate, and it hurts both of them. Clips of the girls doing provocative dances in a bold alien-inspired style quickly go viral online. Many users even start repeating their choreography. On New Year's Eve, Margot is going to meet Becca. The girls have made peace and decided that their friendship is more important than silly grievances. When Becca sees Bodhi for the first time, she is touched. Susie and Jinx will look after the boy while the girls go to a party. Becca notices that her friend is nervous. Margot explains that she does not like leaving Bodhi for long. Some of their classmates are at the party too. Many are surprised to learn that Margot has a child. Tonight, she just wants to think about nothing and have a proper good time. Suddenly, when Margot goes to the bathroom to fix her makeup, she receives a message from an unknown number. It contains her OnlyFans username. The stranger offers her $5 to put on a show. Panicking, Margot texts her father, asking him to pick her up from here immediately. Becca has already been shown Margot's OnlyFans account too. Becca wants to believe it is just a deepfake, that her friend has not sunk that low, but Margot's reaction makes it obvious that it is not. She hurries to leave the party. Becca follows her, demanding an explanation. Margot snaps back, saying that she does not owe Becca, or anyone else an explanation. Becca cannot understand how someone could let their life go downhill like this. Margot no longer wants to hear any of this and gets into Jinx's car. She thought she had been careful, but the truth is that there is no such thing as complete anonymity on the internet. Jinx says as gently as he can that the videos have gone viral, and Shannon has seen them too. She called recently. Jinx believes they should go to Shannon tomorrow and all talk together. One phone call will not be enough here. Once she is home, Margot opens social media and discovers that her photos are everywhere. Users insult her, talking about her as a single mother who dropped out of college and went wild after school. Margot has become famous, but this is not the kind of popularity she had been waiting for at all. One way or another, the next day arrives. Margot and Jinx are facing a difficult conversation with Shannon, as well as with Kenny, who still has no idea. Margot's photos are all over Shannon's social media, and on the social media pages of her acquaintances and colleagues. Realizing that Kenny will find out everything sooner or later, Margot decides to tell him right now. She would never have done this if she had not needed to provide for her child. Kenny is confused, but he is fully ready to support Margot. After all, every person can make a mistake, but that does not make them bad. It was very important for Shannon to hear this, and she tearfully hugs Kenny, thanking him. Jinx on the contrary sees it as yet another proof of his own failure. He did not manage to become a father to Margot. As expected, Mark has already seen the videos too, as has his mother, Elizabeth. Since the explicit photos are everywhere, and the story only continues to gain momentum, sooner or later it will lead back to their family. Mark risks sacrificing his reputation, his wife's reputation, and his mother's reputation. By the way, he has told Sarah about the child he had with another woman. Their marriage is now falling apart. Elizabeth intends to take the situation into her own hands and act before it is too late. That same evening, Margot receives a notice. Mark has filed for full custody of Bodhi. When Shannon finds out, she realizes she cannot let her daughter go through this alone. Lace will represent their interests in court. They have 30 days to respond. There are 3 options: agree to joint custody while contesting the demand for full custody, go to court, which will cost them tens of thousands of dollars, or choose mediation. It is cheaper, faster, and definitely fairer. They choose the third option. Jinx cannot be present at the mediation, since that would violate the restraining order. This is the first Shannon has heard of the restraining order. Margot knows one thing: she will never give up her child. Lace warns them that custody is war. It is long, expensive, and ugly. They have to be ready for that. Jinx sinks into despair, feeling that he has lived his life completely wrong. He has missed so much, only recently starting to think about the consequences. It has affected not only his life, but also the lives of those who love him. Susie tries to cheer the man up. Shannon and Margot prepare for the mediation. They have to look absolutely trustworthy. Shannon knows that the Gable family will try to use the fact that they are wealthier as an argument, claiming they can give Bodhi a better future. Shannon intends to do everything she can to stop that from happening. Obviously, Mark does not need a son. All he is thinking about is how not to make his own situation worse. Margot hugs her mother. They do not need words to express everything they are feeling. Margot and Shannon come face to face with Mark and Elizabeth in the presence of their lawyers. Mark states that he is seeking full legal custody of Bodhi because, in his opinion, Margot is not capable of properly caring for the child. Besides, given how she makes money, she will never be hired for a normal job, and she will never be able to build a relationship with a decent man. Who would agree to marry a woman who creates explicit content? Listening to all this, Margot cannot hold back her emotions. There is no doubt that his arguments are strong. Margot even starts wondering whether Mark may be right. Meanwhile, Elizabeth says that she raised her son to be a decent man and that he became the victim of deception. Mercenary students often prey on teachers to get good grades. Shannon feels that one more word, and her patience will snap. Elizabeth keeps insulting Shannon and her daughter, saying how fallen and awful they are. In the end, Shannon cannot take it anymore and punches Elizabeth in the face. Later, Kenny picks his wife up from the police station. Elizabeth's jaw is broken. She may need surgery. Elizabeth realizes that she made the wrong decision. Now they are even further from getting custody of Bodhi than they were at the beginning. Jinx has not come out of the bathroom for an hour, which makes Margot and Susie worry. They knock on the door, but Jinx does not answer. They have to break the door open. Inside, they witness a terrifying scene. Jinx is lying unconscious in the bathtub. He has broken down and gone back to his addiction. Working together, the girls manage to get him more or less conscious again. An ambulance takes Jinx away. Shannon comes to the hospital as soon as she finds out. Jinx is already alright, but he has broken his promise. Shannon and Margot let themselves into his hospital room. He says how deeply sorry he is. Lace arrives too. Shannon called her. Lace immediately assesses the situation and asks Margot to speak in private. Mark has requested an expert evaluation, so Margot will have to meet with a psychiatrist. Her living conditions will also be assessed. Lace strongly recommends that Margot make Jinx move out immediately. If she does not, her chances of winning custody of Bodhi will drop to almost zero. For Margot, this is a very difficult decision. Her father has no job, not even enough money for the initial payment on a rented apartment. He has nowhere to go. Susie asks Margot to pull herself together and think about Bodhi. Susie really likes Jinx, but he allowed himself to do something like this right in the house, which means he has to leave. They cannot fix this for him. Margot understands that. Shannon accompanies Jinx to a rehabilitation center. He is admitted to a day treatment program. He has to get treatment, the same thing all over again. Margot and Susie pack his things. Out of pity, Shannon allows Jinx to stay in her apartment, because she is living at Kenny's anyway. Jinx has been given a second chance, even though he does not deserve it at all. Lace, unlike Shannon or Margot, does not feel sorry for him in the slightest. This is all his own fault. Child Protective Services workers pay an unexpected visit to Margot and Susie's apartment. Someone has filed a complaint. Margot is sure it was Mark and Elizabeth. They are ready to use any opportunity to discredit her. Margot has to cooperate, otherwise she only risks making the situation worse. The Child Protective Services workers inspect every room. Margot is very nervous, and it takes a great effort for her to keep her composure. Overall, the Child Protective Services workers are satisfied with the condition of the apartment, but they know about Margot's OnlyFans activity. They are also required to test everyone present for substances, including Jinx, since he is here too. Margot panics, terrified of losing her son. They need to fix the situation together, So Margot, Shannon, and Jinx go to meet with Lace to discuss where things stand. Lace says outright that Mark Gable has every chance of winning, especially after Jinx made the situation worse when his test came back positive. That means they need to take a different approach and force Mark to back down. Another mediation has already been scheduled, and before that, Margot has to undergo the psychiatric evaluation. It is important that she present herself as reasonable and responsible. Shannon for her part has to apologize to Elizabeth. Lace also wants Jinx to stay out of it completely. He has already done more than enough. The man needs to disappear from Margot's apartment completely. Shannon has absolutely no desire to apologize to Elizabeth, but she is willing to swallow her pride for Margot and for Bodhi. Kenny promises that together they will get through all of this. Margot has to show her best side. This may be her last chance. During her conversation with the psychiatrist, she says that at first out of naivety she thought everything would somehow work itself out. She had no plan. But it turned out that raising a child alone is very hard. Depressed, Jinx spends whole days lying in front of the TV in his ex's apartment, watching recordings of his fights. After one of his victories, back when he was still a promising wrestler, he said that it did not matter how many times you fell. What mattered was finding the strength to get back up and get even with your opponent. This gives him hope. Maybe it is not too late to make things right. Despite everything, Margot still continues filming with her friends. Shannon meets with Elizabeth and offers a sincere apology. Shannon explains that she simply lost control because it was about her daughter. Surprisingly, Elizabeth accepts the apology easily. Because her jaw is wired shut, it is hard for her to speak. As a mother, Elizabeth had placed enormous hopes in her son and expected a great deal from him. She even believed that Mark would win a Pulitzer Prize, but instead, he teaches literature to college freshmen. Being disappointed in your own child is painful for any mother. Elizabeth is certain that Shannon feels the same thing, only much worse. That is why Elizabeth accepted the apology. While Margot is not home, Jinx comes over to apologize to Susie, even though he is not supposed to be in the apartment. Everyone talks about how Jinx let his daughter down, and he feels terrible about it. The man wants to hope that Susie is still his friend. In tears, the girl says that he scared her and Margot terribly. They really thought he could have died. Jinx promises never to do anything like that again. The OnlyFans girls themed videos continue getting huge views, and the number of subscribers keeps growing, but even that is not enough. Margot has to pay for the psychiatric evaluation, pay the lawyer. It is all snowballing. Her fellow content creators suggest that she go even further. Now Margot is popular, so she can simply name her price. But Margot absolutely does not want to cross that line, at least not while she is at war with Mark over custody of Bodhi. The professor and his former student meet at the second mediation in the presence of their lawyers. According to the psychiatrist's report, Margot is legally and physically fit to be Bodhi's full guardian. Mark however refuses to withdraw his demands, insisting that Margot is incapable of giving the child a proper upbringing on moral grounds. The girl, no longer able to hold back the anger boiling inside her, reminds him that he had an affair with a student. Mark shamelessly declares that Margot was more to blame for his infidelity because she manipulated him, while he was merely a victim. Just like his family, his children. For the girl this becomes the last straw, and she tries to lunge at Mark across the table. Of course this is entered into the record. Shannon tells Jinx that the mediation did not go according to plan at all. Margot was supposed to simply be pleasant and not rise to the provocation, which was exactly what Mark had been trying to get her to do. If the judge rules against Margot, she will most likely never get Bodhi back. Lace wants every family member present in court. Tomorrow is an important day, so Shannon brings her daughter something appropriate to wear to court, along with a pair of shoes. Margot tells her mother directly that sooner or later, in order to earn more, she will go further than provocative dances and photo shoots. Shannon is ready to give up all her fashionable things and expensive creams, as long as her daughter stops. She will find the money, whatever it takes. However, Margot is not sure that even if she has enough money to pay the bills, she will want to stop. OnlyFans has allowed Margot to fulfill her creative potential. At some point the girl cannot hold back anymore and starts crying. She is so afraid that Bodhi will be taken away from her. Shannon hugs her daughter, comforting her. One way or another, they will get through this together. And then the day of the hearing arrives. Today it will be decided which of Bodhi's two parents is better suited to have custody of him. Each of them has to prove that they are capable. Shannon begs Lace to win this for Margot. Lace only says that she will be there as Margot's lawyer, but the rest depends entirely on Margot herself. Sometimes Shannon feels that this is her fault. She apologizes to Lace, for Jinx, for everything. But Lace does not think Shannon has anything to apologize for. Plenty of people truly do, but Shannon is not one of them. The judge, a rather eccentric man, has already reviewed the statements of everyone connected to both sides of the dispute and believes that the root of the problem is Mark. It all started with him. While married, Mark had an affair with a student, and now he is trying to claim custody of a child he has not spent a single cent on. When the judge asks Margot whether she is proud of herself, the girl answers with dignity that she is. She has given her son a good home and fully provides for him. Many people may consider her work indecent, but that does not mean it is illegal. To make his final decision, the judge asks for the child to be brought into the courtroom so each parent can hold him. In his mother's arms, Bodhi laughs and smiles, just as he does in his grandfather's arms. When it is Shannon's turn, she is visibly nervous, because her grandson usually cried whenever she held him. But now the baby looks content and calm. In his father's arms, Bodhi immediately starts crying. This is the first time Mark has ever held his son. For the judge, this says far more than any empty words, and he is ready to deliver his verdict. Margot will remain the primary guardian, but Bodhi should also know his father, so Mark will have 2 weekends a month to spend time with his son. Margot has won. The whole family embraces, crying tears of joy. Mark is sorry things turned out this way, but he truly wants to be part of his son's life. Margot does not object, knowing that this will be better for Bodhi. Margot's fellow content creators are here too, supporting her. When Mark mentions that he was not the one who reported Margot to Child Protective Services, this leaves everyone confused. Child Protective Services do not accept anonymous complaints, so it must have come from a reliable source. Who could be capable of something like that? Kenny says he only wanted to make sure that Bodhi was safe with Margot. No one knows what to say. This incident makes Shannon realize that Kenny is not part of their family, not truly. No matter how good his intentions may have been, he went against the people who trusted him unconditionally. All's well that ends well. Margot is enjoying life, creating content and getting tips.